Okay. So thank you so much, Manish, for having me in your IC today. I'm going to talk on initiating glaucoma therapy, whom, when, and how. And thank you both Manish and Harsh for having almost done all of my talk. I'm just going to kind of repeat some things that both of you have said initially. So presently, what is the principle? We know that IOP reduction is the only modality. We have many randomized clinical trials to prove that. We know that this can be achieved by medication, laser, and surgery. There are no proven neuroprotectants till now. Vascular theory is proven, but there is no treatment strategy. So finally, we come down to reducing the intraocular pressure. Can one size fit all? We have so many varieties of glaucoma. And if we try and just evaluate one strategy to treat all of them, that's not going to be the right way to approach. So we have different treatment approaches. Now, for instance, we know that if there is a patient who's got a congenital glaucoma, surgery is the way to go. However, before surgery, for a short while, we might have to use medical treatment. And at that time, the best treatment to use for the child is a beta blocker, but only a 0.25% timolol is good enough because the surface area of the child or the weight and the area of the child is much, much smaller for a larger dose. If you have a patient with juvenile glaucoma, you can start with medical therapy. And if that doesn't work or doesn't prove adequately to treat the patient, you can either go for a surgical procedure like goniotomy or trabeculectomy. If you have an open angle glaucoma, he may also be having pseudoexfoliation or pigment dispersion. The way to go, like it has already been described, is medical therapy. If there is a chance for selective laser trabeculoplasty, which can also come into play, especially with pseudoexfoliation and pigment dispersion. And if nothing works, of course, we have to resort to surgery. Now, if you have an ocular hypertension, I think Dr. Harsh discussed it very, very clearly that medical therapy options are there based on the IOP value. And like he said, if you have a value of more than 28, you just have to start treating. Otherwise, you can opt not to treat. So there are some things that have not been indicated in that flowchart above. So what about primary angle closure? So primary angle closure, of course, needs a laser peripheral iridotomy first, and then it can be followed by treatment like a primary open angle glaucoma. Secondary glaucomas need treatment for the primary pathology together with a reduction in the intraocular pressure. And like I said, for all ocular hypertensives greater than 28, you will start treatment. But for the others, you can look at risk factors together with both the central corneal thickness and the personality. So what has to be our treatment strategy? That Manish has already just discussed with us. Patients who needed to be observed have also been discussed very well by Dr. Harsh Kumar. So now we have to start deciding medications. And we have also learned that we need to get to the target intraocular pressure. And Manish has very well already explained the EGS guidelines for target intraocular pressure. So he's already told us that we got to look at the glaucoma damage, life expectancy, untreated intraocular pressure, look for additional risk factors and look at the rate of progression and then decide whether your pressure can be high or low. And he's also told us that we can look at staging of glaucoma before we start to look at the target intraocular pressure. So depending upon whether you have an early glaucoma, a moderate glaucoma, or a severe glaucoma, you can decide on how high or low your target pressure needs to be. There have to be certain thoughts on primary medical therapy. In my opinion, you have to try and achieve your target on monotherapy. The drug that you use must be known to give a high response rate. The dosing schedule that you use has to be very, very simple. This drug has to have few to no non-responders. There should be a minimal diurnal variation. There should be minimum side effects, and it should be known for good compliance. So before you start your treatment, establish a strong foundation prior to resorting to adjunctive medication. And there are plenty of things in the history that will guide you. Like people have already spoken before, you can get a family history, because if you know that there is a very strong family history of parents or siblings going blind, then you know that you have to look at this patient more seriously. You have to look at the medical history. What if this patient has some other comorbidity, maybe a systemic comorbidity where he needs to use steroids all his life? Maybe this patient has other comorbidities like diabetes. where you know that his ocular perfusion might be at stake, or he might be more prone to a vascular occlusion. You have to look at other risk factors like his CCT, because you know thin corneas might progress much faster. By talking to the patient, you kind of get to understand the patient's personality, and you can find out what is the likelihood to compliance. You might also know whether this patient has other known allergies that can interfere with topical therapy. Also, you have to look at the presence of other present ocular surface disease, because if the patient already has an ocular surface disease and you load him with drugs which have got benzalkonium as their preservative, you know that you're going to only worsen that disease and going to cause poor compliance. And at the same time, you also have to look for a presence of concomitant eye disease. What if the patient has uveitis? What if the patient has a latent or a died down herpetic keratitis? What if the patient has a diabetic retinopathy? What if the patient has a CME? So all of these things will help you to guide what is the medication that you will actually work out very well for this patient. Now, before you start any medication, these are the 6 things I would like all of you to remember. You have to question yourself as what is the goal of treatment? What are my treatment options? What are the side effects of the treatment? What are the success rates of this treatment? Are there any new treatments coming down in the pipeline which might help my patient? And which treatment will I choose for my own eyes? If you answer all these questions correctly, you are sure to be on the right path. So what are my options? I know the target IOP. I know how aggressively to treat my patient. Which drug should I use? Should it be 1 bottle? Should it be 2 bottles? Should it be fixed drugs? Should it be unfixed combinations? I know the efficacy, the side effects, and the contraindications of the drugs that I'm using. And I also have already made up my mind on the issues with compliance. Whom to treat and how aggressively. You know that there are patients who progress at different rates, which has already been mentioned in the past. So if you look at this patient A, he's progressing very, very slowly. So you don't have to really worry about this patient. It is this patient E about whom you have to be really worried, because if you intervene him at whatever stage, you are definitely going to prevent functional loss for this patient, and you will have to treat him more aggressively. All treatment decisions involve a risk-benefit analysis, putting the natural history of the disease against the likely outcome with a given therapy. A decision to treat may arise when testing confirms progression, when eye pressure is at a level where damage is very likely to occur, or when the risk factors are overwhelmingly in favor of needing therapy to preserve vision. Now, we know that we've got so many glaucoma medications right from the year 1875 when pilocarpine was noted to 2017 when the latest batch of the Rho-Pressa inhibitors got into the market. And so we therefore are now fixed, we are in a situation where we have to really make up our minds. So there is this EGS guidelines which tells us that for your first choice monotherapy, you can start with either the prostaglandin analogs, the beta blockers, the alpha agonists, the calcium anhydrase inhibitors, or others. But truly, I would tell you that my preference would be prostaglandins, and I'll tell you that in a little while. Once you started your monotherapies, look at effectivity on intraocular pressure, look whether the target is reached or not reached, and then verify your endpoints. If not, you might have to use another drug and see whether the same thing is identified. Both prostaglandins are the most efficacious, beta blockers are equally efficacious, but reduce it only by 25%, and topical CAAs and Rho-Pressa inhibitors can only be used as adjuvants. Almost all prostaglandins are the same. When starting treatment, always start with the most efficacious drug, spend adequate chair time, explain need for compliance, make sure they know what to expect so that they will continue to use your medication, and ensure that there are no contraindications. Reassure them and reassess them in 3 months. When should the treatment be aggressive is when the presenting pressure is high, when there is advanced glaucoma presentation, when there is a faster rate of progression, when the central vision is expected to be lost in the patient's lifetime, and if there are additional factors. So then you will have to use more than one medication, 2 different bottles, fixed drug combinations, or a laser or surgery. And what about generics? Generic drugs have the same quantitative and qualitative compositions in terms of the active ingredient. A difference in adjuvants can lead to the differences in drug stability, viscosity, surface tension, and pH, which could then affect the efficacy and safety. So it is all yours to decide whether you'd like to go for the generics or whether you'd still like to stick to the original molecules. Thank you very much for your time.